This is your host, Will Carey. Thank you for tuning in. I know it's been a couple of weeks, and I do apologize for that. I've been finding that I sometimes might lapse out of getting episodes regularly posted, so for that I do apologize. But if you're still here, gosh, I appreciate you, because I'm now, I've been, the past couple of weeks, I've been dealing with a thing that's kind of put a halt on my creative career, at least until I get it sorted out. I was, I'll just tell you what it is. I was been dealing with problems with my job, and one of my jobs that I had to leave, and being in New York, I work a couple of other jobs, so I'm doing my best right now to supplement that income until either my creative career is paying the bills, or until I can find another replacement for that big that gap in my income, which I'm working to fix, and I'm optimistic because I have been through this kind of rigor before, and I know that, or maybe I just think that, just feeling that it's going to work out, that is the better way to go than saying that everything's going to be terrible, because then I think if you operate under the assumption that nothing will work out, then that's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I'd hate to dwell on that too much, because we have a pretty amazing show for you today. Today's show, my guest today is comedian Daralyn Kelleher, and we had a really, really interesting chat where we talked a lot about kind of the roots of our psychology and our behaviors, as well as some of the things that we recognize in ourselves and the sources of that behavior. We also had a really great chat about the idea of, like, we talked a lot about psychology and how that ultimately plays into relationships. And then I think you could also draw a lot of parallels to comedy as well, because there's a certain psychology to how you're going to get a crowd to react the way that you want them to things that you're saying. And it's, as I'm sure you might know, a ever-evolving public experiment in how you're going to get that done. I'm personally trying to work on that. If you hear this before September 9th, I'll be doing my storytelling show, my solo storytelling show, Laughing Through the Sad, although I might be changing that title soon. I'll be doing it at the Unicorn in the Lower East Side. It's a $10 ticket at the door, and I'd really like to see you there, because at this point, I'm seeking a connection, because I wasn't getting that connection at my prior employer. And Daralyn and I talk a little bit about this too. I'm searching for an emotional connection, and one of the ways I get that is through this show, which is one of the more personal pieces of work that I've done in my life. And I've been working on it for about a year now, is how long I've been doing it. And I'm feeling pretty proud about where it is. It's come a long way since I first did it at QED last August. And again, if you want to check it out, I will be at the Unicorn Friday, September 9th at 8 p.m. For $10. And I assure you, it'll be worth it. So thank you guys. And let's talk to Daralyn Kelleher. Yeah, I liked his. He's a cool guy. Mm-hmm. He's a deep dude. I like him a lot. Yeah,
I'm a fan.
Yeah, you guys are really good. You guys seem like you're really good friends.
Yeah, we're pretty close. We probably hate each other a little too, but we're also very close.
Yeah.
It's we both don't like to get that close to people, so we we push each other away all the time. It's like a weird. We're just similar, but like I think what we're similar, we don't like that in each other.
Gotcha. So it's like a push and a pull, and
yeah.
I see this ending with him like hiring a mariachi band to confess his undying love for you before you move to LA.
I don't think so. But I like the visual that you come up with.
Right. Well, I think in like big grand movie gestures. That's a common thing I have too. Like I take a long time to like let people get close to me.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm always, there's this like underlying fear that if I reveal too much information that they'll like use it to hurt me, is like a weird fear, irrational fear I have with people. It's not good for relationships.
Well, I don't think that that's irrational though. Like I'm not the best person to be like, you should trust people. Cause I'm like a little socially paranoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think I grew up in a lot of chaos and that comes from that. I just like have limits as to how close I can let people in, I've realized.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a certain threshold people meet before they can do that, or is it just that this is as far as everybody gets?
I guess it varies from person to person because what I've learned in watching myself is that a lot of times the people I let in are probably going to hurt me because I'm probably really attracted to the chaos that I grew up around. So then it becomes this thing where I don't even trust myself because I'm like, oh, I love this person. Oh no, they're trouble.
Because you love them.
They're trouble because, yeah, I'm just attracted to dysfunction, I think, on a base level, and then I have to fight against it.
Mm-hmm. I can kind of relate to that. I've definitely had moments where I've been like, oh, she's crazy, but I like that.
Yeah, it can seem exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting, and it's also maybe a common thing that maybe you remember. Like you can kind of tie that back to like, oh, this is familiar. The chaos is familiar.
Totally.
So even if it's maybe not healthy, you're like, oh, at least I know what this is.
Yeah.
So I can deal with this.
Yeah, I think I have a deep fear of the unknown, and I'm like trying to really push myself, but I'm still a very fear-based individual right now.
Yeah, I feel a lot of comedians. There's a certain level of fear, but also that fear, the risk of like either humiliation or if it not going well.
Yeah, mine's rejection.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of that. So what's the chaos? Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in a small town outside of Boston, like maybe 45 minutes out. And it was like a little unique because it was like an animal care business in the same building of where I grew up. So like maybe a little more than a little unique. So very unique.
So the same building your house is, there's like dogs and cats.
Yeah, let me give you a visual. The top floor was my house. The middle floor we rented out to veterinarians, and then the bottom floor was my parents' business, which was a kennel, and then there was also sort of like a back attached kennel that had like 70 dogs.
Whoa.
Yeah, and also while I was growing up, it was like under construction for years. So what I'm describing to you is like what it was starting in like the mid 90s, but before that it was a completely different house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So veterinarians and then a kennel on the bottom. So you have like an entire animal house, basically.
Animal house,
a house of animals.
Totally.
Because I was wondering about that, because on your way over here, you asked me if I had a cat.
Oh, yeah. I was hoping you would.
I wish I did. My girlfriend's allergic to cats.
Gotcha.
I love cats, though.
I love them so much.
Yeah, is that were there cats in the animal house?
Yeah, we had 3 cats that like lived in the business area because my dad was actually the irony of it all. My dad was allergic to cats and dogs, and then I was actually when I was a kid, I had some pretty bad allergies to them too. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they lived in the business part.
Oh, I see. So they
Yeah.
kind of had to be isolated a little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so your dad's running the kennels. What's your mom doing? Is she helping run the kennels?
My mom ran the kennel. My dad had a different job.
Oh, okay. What did he do?
Because my dad tried to have minimal contact with the animals because he was so allergic. So he ran homeless shelters and veteran recovery programs and stuff like that. Things to help those with addiction as well.
Mm-hmm. So to help veterans, like I guess either get benefits or like find jobs.
Yeah, rehabilitation, totally.
Oh, that's good. That seems like a socially positive endeavors all around.
Yeah, I used to try to have a joke about it because it's like I think they both kind of grew up like helper kids, like codependent. So it's like the perfect role for them. Like they both went into things where they could like help
people.
What I just said wasn't the joke that I tried to have, by the way. I just said more of a direct sentence.
Oh, okay. What was the joke you tried to have?
Oh, the joke, it was like for my first year though, so it wasn't good. Like it was like my mom ran an animal care but helped with animals, and my dad helped homeless people. So you can tell what it was like in my house, codependent. But like that's only something you would get if you like deeply understand codependence.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it didn't. Yeah, that joke didn't work, but I liked it personally.
Yeah. If you get like the fundamental, like I've never. Maybe I've been misunderstanding codependency for the longest time, but I guess I always thought of it as like a fundamental need to like have somebody or something else there.
Yeah, it's
like the inability to. I don't want to. Maybe this is wrong too. The inability to be alone, is that part of it, or am I full shit?
No, you're describing it correctly. But there's also like a helping part of it because you're addicted to other people. But like you want to have those people addicted to you too, kind of. So you help other people through their problems, so that like you and the other person have a codependence. You help each other beyond what a normal, healthy boundary is.
I see.
Is that clear?
No, yeah, that makes sense. Like there's helping people in like and this is going to be a broad generalization, but there's like the kind of helping people that's like I guess what friends do, and then there's the kind of friends that the kind of helping that like husbands and like a husband and wife would do, and then there's the kind of helping that like rich eccentric billionaires want to provide to like I have this idea of like maybe because I used to live with a stripper, but this idea of like
okay, go on.
this idea of like there are billionaires that like want to save strippers, so there's maybe that idea of like oh I'll just throw money at you and then you will be mine and I will save you.
Yeah, like a savior complex. Yeah, I think that's out there a lot. And I mean, for me personally, it's like I believe I'm half codependent and half narcissistic, which usually it's like a codependent person who's in the primary role and a narcissistic person who's in the other role.
Yeah.
And it's like more like the codependent is the assistant to the narcissist. But does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the narcissistic personality type, which is all about themselves, and then there's the codependent personality type that is about the person who's all about themselves.
Yes, and so I think what I've learned is you can also be in relationships where it switches off, and sometimes you're the narcissist and sometimes you're the codependent, and so it ends up becoming very confusing.
That sounds like it. I think about that a lot because I hear comedians described as narcissists quite frequently, which I guess you would kind of have to be since it's somewhat of a narcissistic pursuit, the idea that you're going to make a room full of people listen to you and they can't talk back.
Yeah, it is.
Interestingly enough. But then we all think but then but then there's maybe a chunk of people that think they're doing it for them because they're like, I'm making your life better with my comedy.
Yeah, that's also true. And sometimes I think about that, like with myself, which one do I fall into? And I think the reason I started was much more narcissistic, much more selfish. I just wanted to be heard and I wanted to be seen. That was like, because before comedy, I didn't ever feel like I had that. And now, years later, I'm like, it needs to be about the audience. The audience actually is the one that is the priority, and they just want to go to a show so they can see themselves in the performer.
Yeah, I do think that. I feel I have a weird relationship with that because I agree with it fundamentally, but I don't agree with it to the point of where, like, I guess an old tired road hack guy would say, "Oh, you just got to go up there and just talk about dicks and drinking."
Sure.
But yeah, because I definitely think mostly that way now. And it's something I quote a lot. It's something I say a lot is that, like, what I like from art is I like feeling like I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. So like when a comic who's like really personal and talks about something that's really true to them and I relate to it, I'm like, I'm going to follow them forever.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's because it's like a emotional connection.
That's also very true. What you said about like when you go so broad so as to everyone can relate, it can become a bit hack. But I think you can have some really special moments if you can set up a unique scenario and maybe they can't all relate, but you make it so they can relate. Like you give them a visual or you spell it out so they like truly understand your perspective. I think that's really beautiful when that can happen. And then the second part of what you said. What was the last thing you just said?
Feeling like you're not alone.
Oh yeah.
Or
I know.
Connecting to someone emotionally, like a performer emotionally.
We both had the aha moment at the same time. I love it. Well, one time and this isn't just one time, but I remember the first time I really connected to a performer. He was talking about being depressed, and I was like, I felt bad for him, but I didn't think I was better than him. I was like, I get depressed, I was like, we're the same. And then I realized when he got off stage, like it was pretty constructed and very actually inauthentic once he got off stage.
Right.
And so there's that piece too that can be that's a whole part of it. The idea that you think you have this really authentic connection with the performer, and maybe they're talking about something they went through 2 years ago, or you never know.
Yeah, or it could just be something they created. It could be a fiction.
It could be fiction.
Like a song or something. Like if you had this like really deep connection to a song,
right?
And then you actually learn what the songwriter had in mind when they wrote it, you could just ruin it for you forever. Like the Police's "Every Breath You Take."
Yes.
I heard that song a bunch in high school, and I loved it, loved the music, loved the melody, and had my own ideas and attached it to what I wanted it to be. And then I read an interview with Sting where he said, "Oh, it's about like the government stalking you."
That's funny. I think that's. I've seen this a lot actually. Because everybody looks at the world differently. So that scenario, that it's just inevitable, right? I mean, like I know, even Taylor Swift, she talks about in interviews about like she never wants to talk about the identity. I mean, she probably does sometimes let this info out, but she tries not to talk about the identity of all these guys she dates because she wants all the women, her little teenage fans to picture their crushes. Like that's her goal in creating the music, is that they're picturing who they are currently having a thing with.
Right. And maybe in that way it's something of like it's some of what we were talking about before, is that if she's writing her own songs, or at least co-writing them, she's got a bit of what she wants to deliver, but then it's also about the audience.
So it's like meeting in the middle. It's the perfect compromise.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to do.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do lately. I've been trying to just kind of, and more so with this my storytelling show as opposed to my like setup punchline stand up, trying to be like very very much myself, but then also kind of be like pull back the curtains so much that it's like relatable, like, hey, maybe you went through something like this, or God, or you can relate to the feeling that I'm going through in the story.
I think the feeling is the most important part, because maybe you haven't been through through that experience or something similar, but you felt like we're all set up with the same emotions. You've felt that before. You can think of when you felt that way.
Yeah. So who is the artist that you first had that connection with?
Well,
because you're growing up in an animal house. I'm calling it an animal house.
Okay.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, a sister and two brothers.
Sister and two brothers. And what are they like?
Okay, so my sister, she's 4.5 years older than me. She just got married last weekend.
Oh,
and
cool.
We were like best friends growing up.
Okay.
She was also kind of like a mini mom to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like she probably took on a lot more than she would have liked, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was very close to her. And my brother is 10 years older than me, and he's into gaming, and he was always like building computers growing up.
Uh-huh.
He's really smart in that way. And he has a little girl who's 4, my niece, and a little baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very cute, which I love them. And then the other brother, so he actually passed away when I was 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, in a car crash, and it was a long time ago. But he was really tall and thin, athletic and popular and funny.
Okay.
He was kind of like, in my eyes, like I guess I kind of idealized him when I was a kid.
Sure, yeah. He's sort of like I don't want to say role model, but sort of like, that guy's cool.
He was cool, yeah. He was like, in my eyes, like a badass. Like he always was out. It was like everybody was always calling our house for him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I feel like I made you feel weird.
No, it's okay. I like moments like that. When I had Drew Morgan on, he told me that his brother's in jail. I was like, oh, holy shit.
Oh wow.
So I don't know. I might not always know what to react, but I'm really wanting to know how to react is a big part of when I talk to people.
Well, whatever reaction you have, that's okay, you know. Because you'll never know how to react.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you got, I'll take it.
Yeah. So is this the chaos that you're growing up in?
Well, the chaos, it's from growing up in a business that I worked at, starting from a young age. It's from my parents not getting along for most of my childhood.
Yeah, that's one for me too. Yeah.
You too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's from losing my brother. It's from all the chaos that came around his death, and then after that, after he died, we didn't really have a good way to talk about feelings. I don't know that we ever had a good way to talk about feelings, but we really needed it after he died, and we didn't have that. So I became like I'm an extremely repressed person. Mm-hmm. So that's all the chaos right there, I would say. Right.
Just a lot of raw nerves needing to be expressed and no one having an outlet for it, almost.
Yeah. Definitely no outlet. I mean, like, I really developed like a happiness mask really, really young. Mm-hmm. Where like, I felt like I got this message that it was attractive to be happy very young, and that it was like, people don't want to be around you if you're upset. So I tried to play into that, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I was a cheerleader for like a long time, for like 11 seasons.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was always just like trying to act like my life was okay.
Mm-hmm. I can see that, because I remember the first couple times. I can't remember it when I ever like, I can't remember when I like officially met you, like, hey, I'm Will, hey, I'm Daralyn, but I definitely remember thinking, oh, she's bubbly.
Yeah, that's a frustration for me, actually, because like I present myself that way as my default, but when you present yourself that way, people often think that you're very one-dimensional. Do you know what I mean by that?
No, I know exactly what you mean. There's this idea of like, that's all maybe that's all people are going to think, like, oh, that's Daralyn, she's bubbly.
Totally.
Or something like that.
Totally.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, my second thought was, oh, she seems nice and friendly to me. what else is going on?
What else? Oh, you're curious?
What else is like, kind of what else is she about?
Sure. Okay. I'll take that. I like that. Yeah, it's just my own insecurity that I'm afraid people will think. I don't have anything else going. But it just depends on how present the person is, what they're going to see, I guess. And I do my best to not be that masked person, but I don't know. I'm getting to the age where I'm just going to have to accept how I am.
Mm-hmm. How old are you?
28.
28. Okay, I turned 30 a couple months ago. So
happy belated.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. No, I definitely relate to that because maybe on a slightly different thing. Because my problem is I always assume, unless I get an idea otherwise, that all my friends and every comedian in New York secretly hates me and thinks I'm a jerk for some reason.
Yes, there's that social paranoia that I was describing. That's why I'm like relating so much. I'm like, I get that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because every day I just wake up thinking, all right, I want to try to do good. I want to try to do good. I want to have positive interactions, and I don't want to hurt anybody. And I'm not talking like I don't want to like push anyone off a subway platform or anything like that. But just like I don't want. I want to. If someone interacts with me, I really hope that they go away thinking, "Oh, Will's cool. Will's a positive. I'll put him in the plus column."
Sure. Yeah. You just want to grow the relationships around you and network, but like also question, do you have a fear of hurting people?
Yeah.
You do?
I think I do.
That's really interesting.
Because, yeah. And if I'm going to try to trace really quickly where I think it comes from, I definitely remember like when my parents divorced and feeling all of their hurt and anger, really thinking that I didn't want to have that inflicted upon me or inflict that upon anyone. So I also remember thinking, if you never get married, then you can never do that. And then I also remember my first couple of relationships in college where I your first couple of breakups where you're like, oh my God, nothing will ever hurt this much. And then you learn, oh, it certainly can.
Yeah, life is but mostly pain.
You're right.
I love that realization.
Yeah. So I remember that, and I remember having a big fear of wanting not to inflict that on people. So I didn't date too much. And the one time I was in not when I was like casually dating someone and they were really more into me than I was into them and I had to break it off. She fucking hates my guts to this day, I'm sure.
Oh yeah? And that was when you were young? You were a teenager?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like maybe like late teens, early 20s, but yeah, it just, and I felt so guilt-ridden about it.
Sure.
So it's probably a lot of that.
Well, yeah, those are still the formative years. I could see how that would affect you. I still have things from back then where I'm just like, it's been so many years. Why am I still thinking of a person who I didn't even know for that long? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. and the funny thing is they're probably not thinking about you at all.
The other piece of it is, what about the things that you did that affected people that they hold on to?
Yeah.
I think about that too. Well, I mean, I wonder about it.
Mm-hmm. That's the stuff that would keep me up at night.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
There's no way to know. We're all working blindly as to how we affect other people.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, again, all we can do is hope to... one line I say in one of my jokes is try to minimize our negative impact.
Minimize our negative impact. That's tough for me because like I come from such a background where I was so repressed, where I'm just trying to embrace this sort of just be what you are sort of thing. And if it hurts people, then it hurts people, but you still are you.
Right.
I mean, I know that goes against what you're saying you believe in.
No, it's okay. If I hear new things, then maybe I'll grow. I'm not closed off to only what I believe.
I love it. So progressive. Okay, so I didn't know I was as much of a liar as I was. And until I started taking this acting class called Meisner Technique.
Yeah, I know Meisner.
Did you ever study it?
I went to college for theater. Yeah, I did.
Cool.
Meisner, Uta Hagen, Stanislavski, all those guys.
I don't know.
All the method guys and
Gotcha.
gals.
You got the background. Cool. Well, Meisner, for anyone listening, is just like you stand across from a partner and you repeat what automatically comes to you as you're observing the person across from you and you're interacting with them. And it has to be quick. That's the thing. Because if you slow it down, you have time to come up with a lie. You have time to put in something that will disconnect you from the person. And so it's all about being present. And I did it, and it was terrifying. And a lot of times I was so scared that I would just like start crying in the exercise because my walls were being ripped away from me. And I had no control, and I'm a fucking control freak. Like I love to manufacture how I'm seen because I don't know why, and it's not good. So what I like to be like is just honest. I want to be as honest as I can be, and that's really very challenging for me.
Wow. So in the midst of that. Because I want to get back to the chaos that you're in. What is that artist? Because I want to come back to Meisner too. But
sure, whatever you want. Let's go.
So in the midst of that, in the midst of this raw nerves, who's the artist that you have that first emotional connection with? I can't believe
I didn't even answer that question.
I know
how did we get here? Okay, the artist that I had a connection with in the first person that impacted me. Is this the question?
Yeah.
On an artistic level? What is the name of that? There was this band in high school called And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead. You familiar?
And You'll Know Us by the Trail of the Dead. Yes, I know them.
I didn't even know all their songs, but there was this one song called Will You Write Again for Me? And it just really affected me because it was kind of, in my head, it was like about I imagined a girl. There's no evidence that it was about a girl, but it was about a girl that had like given up, and it was like this guy like in the song like pleading, keep writing, because she was a writer. And I just I don't know, it just really touched me at my core, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the point where like I was a teenager and I called my parents into my room to hear this song, and because the song like brought me to tears. And they were just like, they didn't like it, they hated it, they were like, what is this? And I was like, I guess that
sucks when you have like the song that is like your being, and then other people are like,
I know, right?
It's fine.
Yeah, they did not connect with it, but like I don't know why I expected them to. I guess I just really wanted them to.
You're like, feel what I feel, see what I see.
Yeah. I guess I just wanted to be seen by them.
Going back to why we're doing comedy, because we want to be seen and we want to be heard.
Right.
Man. Okay, so we're in the Animal House. We're listening to And You'll Know Us by the Trail of the Dead. How long did you work at the kennel, or the kennel's the right word?
Yeah, you can say kennel. From like, I probably started like walking dogs there around somewhere between 11 and 12. It's tough to say when I really started. I might have been younger, but when I was 15, my parents and I made a deal. If I got a job somewhere else, I didn't have to work at the kennel because I hated it so much. Mostly hated it because my sister was my boss, and I felt like she was so controlling over me.
Right.
We would like wrestle at work. She'd be like, go do this. I'd be like, no. And I'd like push her. So and customers were watching. It was horrible.
Right.
So I got to work at a grocery store instead, and I worked there from 15 to 19.
Bagging groceries, ringing up tomatoes.
Yeah. Well, I think this is my first experience of like where I really started to become this control freak, because like at first I did a horrible job working there, and it was because I was angry that I had to have a job. And so I would like put eggs under watermelon and stuff like that, and I'd be like, here you go, like just like a monster.
Right.
And also, I was so innocent looking. I had this little high voice, and I was smiling, like, "Here you go."
Right.
Like I was very evil because I had so much anger.
Right.
And then, I did that for like 6 months, and I quit because I was like, fuck this place, man. But then I had to get another job. I got another job at like a wedding dress shop, and it was horrible. I hated it. I went back to the grocery store, and this time I was like, I'm going to do a good job. I had like matured a little bit. I was like, I'm going to do this, because there was this girl who was working there, and she was really good at it. And she was so pretty. And it seemed like all the guys liked her. She was like a boss bitch. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be her. So I started working really hard.
Yeah.
And I got promoted a bunch, and I got to do all these things. I was like managing the front end of the shop. I was like only 16 when I got promoted to that. And there were like 40-year-olds who hated me, wanted me to die. They were just like, you're not in charge of me. They were like very dysfunctional 40-year-olds who were bagging groceries, and just, it was very intimidating.
Yeah.
So that was my experience, just realizing I had the capacity to be in control, and sort of like willing to do whatever it took to have that control.
Right. Wow. So like just so it's like if everything else is out of control, I control this. I control you, and you cannot like it, but I still control you.
Yeah. Well, I ended up like, because before I got control, and I felt power from giving someone eggs under watermelon, right?
Right.
I was like, I'm having a bad day, you're gonna have a bad day. But then I started to actually feel good from becoming like the most amazing cashier that there was. Like I scanned like 40 items a minute. I was
just
really
like bam, 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 bam.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I would have everything bagged before a bagger even got there, and it would be like perfect. And it was something about like, it was also like customers almost watched you in a way that they were like testing you. Like they see that you're young, so they have a bias, and they're like, can you make sure to do it this way? And I'd be like, I already did. And they'd be like, oh, thank you. And I'd be like, you're welcome. And it was just this thing where, I guess it comes back to the control. I'm just reliving it right now.
No, I'm seeing that. No, I'm like in my mind, I'm like looking at your face right now, and then I'm seeing the eggs under watermelon face. which oh my God, if that's not in the DSM, that should be the eggs under water.
Dude, it's kind of sadistic.
Yeah.
It's a little bad.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like the grocery store equivalent of like if some jerk complains about their French toast or something, you go back and you just spit on their French toast.
Yeah, it's like that. It's not. It's a little better than that. I think that
No.
spitting one's gross.
No. I agree. That was hyperbole. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. You're right though. It's in the same vein. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, because retail rage is real. It's a real thing. I think.
Yeah, because you get forced into these jobs.
Mm-hmm. And everyone that comes through, whether they're trying to do it or not, is subconsciously exudes, I'm better than you. That's what I felt a lot when I was working retail.
Well, yeah, I guess technically your role is to serve them.
Yes, because maybe they're not in control of their lives. Maybe they've got a terrible boss. But in this moment,
right.
I've been thinking about this a lot. But this is why I think Starbucks is so popular, because you can come up with any crazy idea for a drink, and they'll do it.
Right. I worked there for 4 years also.
Me too. I did. Yeah, I worked at the Starbucks across from FIT where the megabus drops off. Just nothing but frappuccinos and nice coffee all day.
Yeah. Frappuccinos are annoying, right?
Oh, so annoying. Yeah. Well, more so than frappuccinos, because they're just time consuming. Caramel macchiatos are the worst.
Oh, you didn't like that?
I like it. I love it as a drink.
You didn't like to make it.
I didn't like to make it because it's basically a latte in reverse.
Right, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun because you get to paint the caramel on top, and I was like, I'm an artist. Like I got into it.
I did like being able to do that, and I got to a point where I could rock a couple of espresso stations at once, where I could just be like, espresso going here, espresso going there, enough milk for both of these. Get the little spoon, hold the phone
baby.
back.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got real into it. Like I wanted to like, for a while I was like, man, I can't wait till I could work in an actual coffee shop where I could like put hearts in people's drinks and say something in French.
Okay, that's okay. We don't do that, but all right.
Yeah. Not at Starbucks, but I'm saying
I went to
in my mind I would get to the other coffee shop.
Yeah, I went to a real coffee shop after Starbucks eventually.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah.
This was still in Massachusetts?
No, we're getting way into the future now.
Way into the future. So I want to see how we get out of, how you get out of the grocery store and how comedy starts coming into it.
Okay. So I went to college when I was 17, and I still worked at the grocery store for a while while in college. Then I transferred colleges, and when I transferred colleges, I had a Starbucks right by my apartment. So I was like, I'm going to work here. So I worked at both the Starbucks and the grocery store for a while.
Whoa.
Yeah, because this is, again, so this is when control stuff comes in, but really this is like me becoming a workaholic, which my dad was definitely a workaholic. I think both my parents were workaholics, and it was probably anything to get validation. So I was doing both jobs and barely had a social life, and then I switched to just Starbucks, and that's how we got out of the grocery store.
So you're in college working at the Bucks. What did you go to college for?
I studied communications with a minor in psychology.
That makes so much sense.
Does it?
It makes sense. For me, it makes sense for telling jokes, and it makes sense for the quality of the conversation that we've had so far.
Ooh, you're making me feel like you like this conversation.
No, this is great.
Ooh, see how I baited you into validating me? I'm a master manipulator. Watch out for me.
That is something I do think about because I'm very agreeable, but I was going to validate you anyway because I'm very complimentary. It's maybe a problem I have every time I interact with someone. I can't help but just paint them with positivity.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you think it's all genuine, or do you think it's like a tool you use to get people to like you or something? Because for me, that's probably what I do.
I mean, for me, it's definitely it's genuine. It does have that effect because I don't dole that out if I don't feel that way. I'll still be, what's the word? Diplomatic.
Okay.
But no, I don't dish out the positivity. Just I'm not some Charlotte of positivity.
Wait, Charlotte, harlot?
Is that the world? Oh, I think maybe charlatan's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like positivity horror too. That's like.
Positivity horror. If that's not the name of somebody's thing, they should make it a thing.
It could be our thing.
Oh, cool. That'd be an interesting. That'd be like an interesting psychology talk show. Positivity horse or something like that.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah, there could be a lot with that.
Yeah, I think so. So what did you So you say you just baited me into complimenting you. What were some of the other things? What do you remember from psychology in college?
Psychology. So I remember feeling really detached from it all. Like while I was studying it, like I didn't. Like now, I'll go online and I'll read psychology articles and I'll be like, "That's me." But back then, I was just like, it was all just like memorization. It was all in my head, nothing attached to my heart back then. The part of psychology that made it so I could not major in it was that there was a lot of scientific stuff when it comes to analyzing how neurons work and things within the brain that it was out of my wheelhouse. It was not, I couldn't memorize it as easy. I was having a hard time. So once we got into that scientific stuff, I made it a minor and I switched out.
Right on. So move to moved to communications, which,
Yeah.
what is the communications major? Is it about public speaking?
Well, it's different for everybody. For me, it was about public speaking. A lot of people do things like media, which maybe now I wish I did do more media. But we did a lot of speech classes, a lot in terms of how to communicate in a business setting. And I went to Australia for a summer where we went and
cool.
helped Australian kids learn how to give speeches.
Awesome. What were some of the core things of how to give a great speech?
Like establish your credibility right away and don't use jargon. You want to be relatable. You want people to get it. Use a personal anecdote to
Okay.
get their attention. Things like that.
Okay. So yeah, just be if you're a personable, but then set up that hey, I know what, like, how you're talking about how, like, establishing credibility. Is that saying like, I am this and this and this, going back to like the status thing?
Yeah, it's about just proving you're an expert on what you're talking about. You're qualified.
Yeah. That's something that I wish I could do, because I'm not a good bullshit artist.
How do you mean? In what context?
Meaning, if I'm confident in my knowledge of something, which my knowledge of things would be stand-up comedy, the sinking of the Titanic, Pokemon, and Star Wars, I sound really credible. I sound like a doctorate of those subjects.
Okay.
But if I had to kind of go in and talk about like search engine optimization or like other terms, like I'd go straight. I would just go like straight up. Oh, buzzword.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's hard to. I mean, but you get to choose your topic though and what you're speaking about. Like you could do a speech about the sinking of the Titanic.
Really?
Yeah. You just got to find your audience. Who wants to know about that?
Yeah.
And you get to tell them.
Imagine they're out there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Try to work that into a comedy context, because it's such a specific thing.
But it was also like a huge pop culture phenomenon when it was a movie. People are curious.
Yeah, I have bored many people in a bar trying to say like, well, no, actually, these people in this part of the movie, those are actually related to the real people. And yes, the founder of Macy's did die on the Titanic.
Oh, you got all the inside info.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to benefit me yet, but like someday I'm imagining like Slumdog Millionaire style. It's all going to come together.
I don't even remember that movie. I don't remember. So I can't place how you meant your reference.
That's Slumdog Millionaire is the movie where the guy's on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh.
And each question correlates to something in his life.
Yeah. So, yes. Okay. I also would like that for you.
Appreciate it, Daralyn. So you're studying communications and psychology, and what college did you go to?
I first went to UMass Lowell, and then I went to Northeastern.
Northeastern. I know that one. So, and then when you get out, when do you get to New York?
I got to New York when I was 23. I was working at a magazine for a few years after college, and then I came to New York for a magazine, a different job, and really hated it. My boss didn't like me. I also think I didn't adjust to the change very well of moving to New York. So,
in what way?
I think I was probably creating chaos blindly and not seeing that about myself. Just like maybe not getting ahead at work in this brand new job that I should have been ahead at.
Right.
And I don't know, probably other ways, getting too drunk, etc. But I was like 23.
Sure.
So I did that job for 6 months, and then I was like, the monotony is suffocating me. I have to do an artistic pursuit. So I quit, and I got a job at a coffee shop, managing one through a connection from when I worked at Starbucks, and that's when I started stand-up. And
that was in what year?
2011.
2011. Okay, so about 5 years ago. And did you like stand-up comedy like growing up, or was this a relatively new thing you got into?
Well, I had thought about doing stand-up for a couple of years. I'd had a lot of people. I'd had like my roommate in college really tell me a lot that I should do it. I had worked at a bar, and I was told that I should do it, and I just kept thinking about it for like a year, and I would sort of creep around stand-up shows before I actually went for it at a mic.
Mm-hmm. And what was the first, you first went up in New York?
Yes, in Park Slope.
Oh, where?
The name of that bar, I forget, but they don't have comedy there anymore.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember what it could be, because when I moved to New York in 2010, and
For comedy?
Yeah, specifically, because I had been like doing stuff around Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
And then moved to New York, and I lived in Sunset Park, and I used to go to the Perch Cafe all the time. Did you ever go there?
I didn't.
Oh, that was a fun place.
I think I just remembered the name of this. The Bellevue? Or is it the Bell something? With Josh Gorino?
That sounds really familiar. So it wouldn't be the Bell House.
No.
It wouldn't be Bar 4. Was that what that place that
Yeah.
Giannis Papas had?
Yeah, that was that one.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but that was the first place?
Yeah, it might have had Bell in the beginning of it.
Okay.
But anyway, that was the first one.
Yeah.
I went up last. I did like 3 minutes. I had like a great joke about the face you make when you're constipated. Just kidding. It was horrible. I don't know. Like there were 4 people left in the room.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I remember that. I remember the first couple of times I'd go out to Williamsburg to do the Woodshed mic.
Oh, I never. I heard of that one, but I never went there.
Yeah, I'd usually go up last to Silence, but when I remember like my first month, I doubt he would even remember this, but Mike Lawrence used to co-host that mic, I think with Dan St. Germain, and I believe he said this when he brought me up one time. He said like, "Oh, this guy's new to the city, but he's awesome." And he might not have meant that, but it helped me in that moment of just like where I was just going up to indifference for so many mics.
Yeah, like these little things that these people years ahead can just sort of say as a quick aside can mean so much to you when you're like in this really vulnerable place.
Yeah. And then when he first did when he first did John Oliver's show, I was like, oh my gosh, that it's possible.
Yes.
No, it's very inspiring, those moments.
It is cool to like have a lot of these people be on TV. Like I went on a trip recently and we were flipping around the channels and like almost everyone on the TV was a comedian. And I was like, they're everywhere.
I know, it's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like I still and then I'll get off. I feel like an old man on my rocker on the porch. But I still remember like when the Laughing Devil was open, and this was when I was working the door there. I did like one of their Wednesday night audition kind of shows. Mm-hmm. And Adam Conover was on the show also, and he said something nice about one of my jokes about The Wire, and I was like, oh, thanks, man. So now I see his picture on the subway and on buses and stuff.
Oh, he's
and
everywhere.
Like,
he gave me a compliment too one time on a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Same. I had the exact same experience with the same person.
Yeah, he good. I got nothing but good things to say about him, and I find his show very funny. I don't know if you've watched it, like anything online, but
I have watched it a bunch.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah,
and it's like perfect for him actually.
Yeah, it like actually. No, yeah, it's like, yeah, of course he would be hosting a show like that. And it's like one of those things, and his thing is like, again, one of those things of like, it's like maybe an ultimate kind of observational comedy, because it's like, and it's also in a format where you can go a little bit deeper than if you're just trying to do like really quick jokes.
Oh yeah, because like he's chosen things that are invisibly hidden around all of us, and you're like, oh, you're fucking smart for seeing that. And then he's also taken the thing that people have probably always told him his whole life is wrong with him, which is that he's a little bit of a know-it-all, which I think, if I remember correctly, for a little while in our scene, I think people like kind of held that against him or something. I remember there being a little bit of that in the air, and being confused about it because I liked him.
Yeah.
I'm the good guy in this story, okay? Sorry.
No. I believe you.
Anyway, he took what probably people used against him his whole life and made it his strength. And I love when people can do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I because then no one can, in a way, like no one can hurt you. It's like, yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, so it's almost in a way of like you're preemptively roasting yourself almost.
Yeah, in a way.
In a odd way.
You're spinning it.
Exactly.
And sure, people can shit on it all they want, but you're rich because of what you just did. You flipped your worst flaw into your greatest strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We figured it out. It seems so. No, for a field that seems like it's literally a mystery to how to get into certain places. Like the concept of like gatekeepers and all that, and not even like Hollywood, but like just how could I get paid spots at this comedy club on Friday nights?
Sure.
Like when the answers to those questions seem almost like the like riddle wall people in the movie. God, I'm blanking on David Bowie, Jennifer Gardner. It'll come to me afterwards.
Oh, the Labyrinth?
Thank you. Like the riddle wall where you have to like out logic your way through the door.
Oh, right.
For something as impossible as it can seem sometimes, it's also just the simple things. Like when you see like simple things like that, you go, oh, it really doesn't have to be that hard.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, yeah, you're right. I'll just keep it at you're right.
Every now and then I have something profound to say.
Well, I was thinking about a lot when you said the labyrinth thing, and then I was like getting worried that if I brought us, I'm worried about taking us down tangents. I'm trying not to be like steering us anywhere.
Oh no, it's fine. You know, this has been a great conversation because also, if I remember correctly, you also produce some pretty big shows in the city as well, right? Like, didn't you have something at Videology for a while?
Yeah, well, thanks for calling my shows big. Yeah, I had Comedyology at Videology. I did that for 1.5 years. And I have a show at the Wythe Hotel right now. I got one more before I leave for Los Angeles because I'm going to go live there. And what else? Yeah, those are pretty much the big ones. I had a one-off at another hotel, but I try really hard to get big audiences.
Yeah. What are some of the things, and this is just, I want to talk shop a little bit here before we close out. What are some of the things you found that like were helpful with generating audiences for?
I would do anything to get an audience, like, because it was my nightmare to have comics show up and there to be nobody there. Because then, to me, a show where like nobody's there, what's the point of having the show? I get frustrated because I feel like we work so hard in comedy, so why are we wasting our time on non-shows? I have some strong beliefs there.
Yeah.
So for the one at Videology, I put posters. I worked with Ross Parsons on it. He made some really great posters, and we really brainstormed a lot about how to make the posters make people stop on the street. So we came up with some really cool ideas, like we would use celebrities on the posters sometimes. One time he took a Game of Thrones character, and it was like right during a huge Game of Thrones thing, and he had the character talking about our show. And I think that helped a lot. I think that show was packed. And bright colors, that's huge. So we would just cover Bedford Avenue with the posters. You know, you want to have a unique venue, you want to have a good location that's trafficked. So all of that, and then we would do like online advertising or that's pretty much it. We would hand out stuff on the street sometimes. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, because I relate to that. Nothing makes my guts hurt more than when I've asked people that I like to come and do a show and there's like no one there.
Yeah, it's just, what's the point? It's because we spend so much time just like beating our heads against a wall over and over with repeating our sets and doing new jokes. It's like, why not just make sure each move that you're doing is actually doing something? There's so much time wasted.
Right. And that's something I kind of came to terms with when I learned that what was working, that trying to do 3 mics a night was not helping me the way it helps other people.
Sure. Some people just get their confidence boosted and they become these incredible performers from that. Not me either, though.
Yeah. I can maybe, I do two a night. But then I've also kind of found that I need to like, I'm getting to a point where I need like space to breathe on stage so I can like figure stuff out sometimes, like maybe go the freedom to go on a tangent, which is hard at a 2-minute open mic.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit more time, like just kind of thinking and writing so that when I go and do sets or mics or shows, I'm being a little more productive.
Yeah, everybody has different things that will make them excel, because like it's all about zooming in on whatever you think is the most effective for you and then duplicating that over and over and over. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I think you do.
Oh
You
yeah,
seem-
I did, but I was gonna say like a long thing and I was like, I keep getting worried about saying long things.
No, it's okay. You can say long things.
Okay. I was just gonna say, well, for me, I've had a hard time with stand-up this year because I've been really frustrated. Because I feel like this year, I think I've gotten really good at writing jokes. I think last year I was like getting there, and then this year I think my jokes are pretty good. And I've been having a hard time connecting with audiences this year, especially. And I think a lot of it is when I started stand-up when I was 23, that happiness mask that I've talked about, it was more like fused onto my face and there was no taking it off. And now it's like, sometimes I seem like that and sometimes I don't. And it's like making it hard to have a consistency to it. And yeah, I've just had a hard time connecting, and like it's more like an identity crisis than anything for me, and I'm trying to work through it, but also I want to go focus on acting at the same time when I go to California.
So your plan in LA is to concentrate on stand up and then put a lot of energy into acting? Yeah,
I've had a full-time job all these 5 years here, so I don't know what it would be like to just have I'm going to spend some savings and just work part-time and just try to go on as many auditions as humanly possible. And if my original goals were to just be seen and be heard, I mean, technically, I'm getting half of that done through acting. It's not my voice that I get to have, but I guess I'm realizing it's okay to not have my identity completely figured out. It's okay. I'm telling myself that. Like, just be what you are, which is maybe a not finished product. That's okay. And when you're talking about like making your weakness into a strength, like I can have some really strong emotional reactions to certain scenarios. Like sometimes I can get like emotionally triggered and suddenly I'll go from like being very even keel to just being very angry really fast. It's like, well, if I can make that work in acting, that's actually a strength. A lot of people don't know how to get themselves into an angry spot. I know how to manipulate myself into that pretty quick. So I want to do that in my own way and see how that works.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Sounds like, well, it sounds to me that you've got a pretty firm grasp of what your focus is, Daralyn Kelleher, and I think you're gonna do cool things, and I'm glad that I'm glad I got to sit and chat with you before you move.
Thanks for having me. yeah, it's unfortunate that I'm just leaving and we've finally gotten to know each other better.
I know, right?
I definitely appreciate the time. This was fun.
No problem at all. Thank you for doing it. And I'll get out to California at some point.
Okay. I'll be like, do I know you? Just kidding.
Excellent. Thank you, Daralyn.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Appreciate it. What a great conversation. I really enjoyed that chat with Daralyn Kelleher. Please make sure to follow her on Twitter. And if you work in the entertainment business, hire her to act or tell you jokes because she is a delight. And I'll have links to her Twitter in the description. You can follow me on Twitter at Comic Will Carey. That's Carey. Will Carey, and you can always check my website, willcareyisfunny.com. Again, I will be at the Unicorn Friday, September 9th at 8 p.m. doing my solo storytelling show, Laughing Through the Sad, for $10. Hope you guys can make it out. And I hope if you're going through something, just know that you can take it, you can overcome it, you've overcome worse, and it's going to be all right. I'm going to keep telling myself that too. And I will see you next week between awesome and disaster. Thanks, everyone.